Level 2's in 6.2 is now we're taking everything that we can identify on a graph from level 1's and we're going to apply that in an equation. So if you look at this gray box up here, it says vertex form of a quadratic, and it looks like this. Now, the x and the y are going to stay x and y. The things that will change in the equation are things like the a, the h, and the k. So those things will change out with numbers, but the x and y are going to stay the same. I want you to I guess we can do this. So this is saying this first sentence, it says if a is greater than 0, when that's written out like that, that just means a is positive. Okay, if numbers are bigger than 0, they're positive, the parabola is going to open up. So it'll look like a U. The vertex will then be a minimum. If a is less than 0, meaning it's negative, okay, it's a negative number. This is a positive number. The parabola is going to open down. So it'll look like a hill. And it will have a maximum. So what h and k represent are the coordinates of the vertex. So let's take a look at an example here in number 2. First, I always start with the vertex because that means everything falls on either side of that very nicely. So if I have the function negative 2 x minus 3 squared plus 8, identify the key characteristics. Well, let's start with the vertex because that's a really key point in this function. So if you look at the equation up here, you got a times x minus h squared plus k. So in this function, h is going to be 3, but not negative 3, just 3, and k is going to be 8. What sometimes helps kids is that when they look at this equation, they think h is the opposite of the number that's inside, meaning if that's a minus 3, h is going to be positive 3. If it's positive 3 on the inside, it's going to be a negative 3. So sometimes that has helped kids. Other kids just can ignore that sign on the inside of those parentheses and just see the number. So whatever works for you. But that vertex is going to be 3, 8. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and graph that. Okay. So if this is a vertex, okay, now I'm going to answer this question, is it a maximum or a minimum? Well, and I'm going to look at this number out in front. So it's a negative 2, and I think about what those two sentences were before. It says if a is less than 0. Well, negative 2 is less than 0. This parabola is going to open down, and it's going to be a hill, and it will have a maximum. So this parabola, I can anticipate this going down like this, but I don't know exactly where and how wide it will go. So I'm going to hold off drawing those things for now. But I'm going to go ahead and plot that vertex again. Okay. All right, so now I need to know where this graph is going to go. I know it's going to open down, but I just don't know where. So what this says, to find the x-intercepts, we want to set the function equal to 0. So when we set the function equal to 0, it's going to say 0 equals negative 2. And we want to solve for x. So we did this a very, very long time ago, if you remember this. You want to get the x minus 3 squared by itself. So you're going to subtract 8. Divide by negative 2. I'm going to run out of room here. So it's going to equal 4 equals x minus 3 squared. So then to undo that square, you're going to square root both sides. And remember, when you square root a number, you get two answers, a positive 2 and a negative 2. But everything else stays the same. So this one is going to be 5 equals x. And this one is going to be negative 5 equals x. Oh, whoops, I changed both of those. Darn it. This should still be x minus 3. I'm sorry. So again, only the number that you square root changes to be a plus and minus, and x minus 3 will stay x minus 3. So this is going to be 1 equal to x. So that means my x-intercepts are at 5, 0, and at 1, 0. So plot those two. So I can kind of see this graph taking shape here. It's going to go down like this. And now I just need to figure out the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept, you're going to set x equal to 0. This is a little bit more easy, a little bit simpler. So you got f 0 equals -2, 0 minus 3 squared plus 8. So just order of operations here. I got 0 minus 3, which is -3. -3 squared is 9. 9 times -2 is -18 plus 8 equals -10. So that point is at 0, -10. So plotting that down here, which makes sense because I know that my graph is going to continue to go down this way. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side here. If I got a point that was like 4, -10, that would be really weird because it doesn't make sense. Or like 0, 3. Okay, that wouldn't make sense. My graph would never come back up like that. So just a note on that. Just make sure that your points will all make sense. If they don't, go back and check your work. The last thing that we have to identify is the axis of symmetry. So again, this is the x coordinate that goes through the vertex. It's going to be x equals 3. It's going to increase. So again, the guy starts over here, and he's walking up. So he is going to be increasing from -infinity to +3. And then he's going to start decreasing from +3 to +infinity.